I've got a short one this time. After having done some lengthy videos of late, I figured I'd give us all a break. This time out, those crazy Catholics are claiming that God exists, and of course, they have proof. But it's really piss-poor proof that anyone with half a brain could see straight through. Of course, they're not really talking to atheists. They're talking to the religiously deluded, people who already buy into their load of theological bullshit and don't bother to think too hard about anything they believe. So let's look at this claim real quick and see if they can really demonstrate that God is real, or if it all falls apart, as usual, under even the most cursory scrutiny.
You know, we can know there's a God just by thinking about it. Edwin Conklin, one of Einstein's associates, he said the probability of life originating from an accident is comparable to the probability of an unabridged dictionary resulting from an explosion in a print shop. Think about that for a second. Print shop explodes, paper, ink, bindings flying through the air. Hey look, a dictionary.
Hey look, you're an idiot. Of course, this is a common claim made by people who haven't got a basic high school understanding of science. The reason this idea is absurd is the same as the claims about a 747 forming in a junkyard after a tornado. Neither junk nor print shops have DNA. They do not breed, they do not mutate, nor do they have any forces acting upon them to make them more successful within a particular environment. That's how evolution works, and anyone who doesn't know that, as this dim bulb clearly doesn't, is a moron.
I don't think so. On a molecular level, your fingernail is more complex than a library full of dictionaries. Atheism, it's kind of like a flea that doesn't believe in the dog.
It's kind of like Catholics who don't believe in logic, reason, or critical thinking. Oh wait, that's all of them.
I don't see a dog. Well, maybe that's because you're a flea. Right, this isn't really all that complex. Every material thing has a beginning, a starting point, a cause. The universe is a material thing. So the universe must have a cause that's capable of starting a universe.
And it did have a cause. That cause is the Big Bang. It generated our universe 13.8 billion years ago. We really don't know for sure what caused it. We are unable to see farther back in time than Planck time, but that doesn't give you a license to just make shit up because it makes you feel better. Something else, though. Something that these religious wingnuts ignore. He says that all material things had a beginning. Well, we're unaware of anything at all that doesn't have a beginning, material or not. There is not one thing that we can point to that demonstrably had no beginning. This guy's just asserting an exception for his imaginary friend that cannot be demonstrated. In fact, apologists will specifically frame their arguments this way to give their deity an exception. It's called special pleading, which is a logical fallacy. Imagine that. Theists throwing logic straight out the window. What will they think of next?
Boom, there's a God.
Boom, you're a moron. See, he's just taken a massive leap from something started the universe, a claim he hasn't substantiated with any evidence, to that thing is a God. And, if I had to predict, he'll further declare, again with no rational support, that it's actually his God. How do we get from one to the next? Magic! But rational people don't buy into this kind of hand-wavium. We expect an unbroken logical chain. You must move from one part to the next part to the next part to the next part and demonstrate how each part is actually so. When do we think that this guy is going to provide that? Never? Good call.
Physicists agree that 13.7 billion years ago, there was something called the Big Bang. And we used to think that ever since the Big Bang, the universe was expanding through space and time. We know better now. We know the universe is not expanding through space and time. Check this out, this is crazy. Because the universe contains space and time. Which means outside of the bubble of this universe is literally nothing. Not even space, not even time.
Yes, most people learned that in grade school. Why do you act like it's so amazing? Space-time is part of the very fabric of the universe. It was created in the Big Bang, just like the physical properties and laws of the universe. And as the universe expands, it does so into absolute nothingness. It's like blowing up a balloon. As it expands, what is inside the balloon grows into something that is not inside the balloon. The universe is finite but boundless. This is very basic, though. I don't know why these people seem so astounded.
I can believe that. I can believe that 13.7 billion years ago, space and time and all this exploded into literally nothing. But you want me to believe that a Big Bang could Big Bang itself?
It doesn't really matter what you believe. What is actually true does not require your faith to be true. And you want us to believe that there's a magical man in the sky who is desperately concerned about your sex life. Are you really going to make a big deal about a very well-supported scientific theory based on copious objective evidence, mathematical models, and critical evaluation? And what do you have to support your God? Wishful thinking and blind faith? Somehow I don't think your beliefs are particularly reliable.
And 13.7 billion years later, rational creatures are walking around drinking cappuccinos. Cappuccino just kind of happened all by itself? I don't think so.
Wow, you're a bigger idiot than I thought. You haven't the slightest clue about science or reality. Maybe you ought to pull your nose out of that stupid book of ancient mythology and actually get an education before you make YouTube videos making a complete and utter fool of yourself. Yeah, I know, I'm not holding my breath for that either.
Listen, I don't know why there's a God instead of nothing. But I know this. If I look at a painting on a wall, I can assume there is a painter. If I hold a book in my hand, even if I can't see the author, I can assume there is one. And if I look at this universe, I can assume there is a God.
You do not have the slightest idea of what knowledge actually is. You believe something. You do not know it. If you actually have knowledge, you must be able to demonstrate some rational basis for making that claim, and you have none. You're just pulling this God nonsense straight out of your ass because it makes you feel good, not because you have any credible reason to think that any of it's actually true. You can assume anything you want, but that doesn't make it a credible position to hold. The universe may have come from universe-creating pixies. It could be a science experiment by extra-universal aliens. You're just ignoring these possibilities because they are, just like your imaginary friend, invented out of whole cloth. The fact is, what this guy is engaged in is the fallacy from personal incredulity. He can't come up with another solution that he likes, therefore he insists that his wild imagination must be true. People have been doing that since the dawn of humanity. That's why there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of purported gods out there, all of them made up by people who would rather have an emotionally comforting fantasy world than to deal with the real world as it actually exists. Where we do not currently have an answer, supported by evidence, we admit that we don't know, and then we keep looking. Rational people do not just make things up because they'd rather have any answer than acknowledge that they don't have an answer right this second. Of course, these people aren't rational. They aren't credible. They aren't critical. They're just laughable. And worse, they don't even know how pathetic they actually are. If this guy seems utterly ridiculous, it's because he is, but he's not alone. Even the most well-respected apologists are really doing no more than this. They're just throwing around a lot of big words and waving their arms so that they don't seem quite so obvious. This is, at its core, what religious apologetics is all about. And the only people it really fools are, well, the fools. The people who aren't educated enough to see through the bunkum. The people who would rather think happy thoughts than deal with a universe that just doesn't exist to give them joygasms. The only people who buy into this crap are the people who just don't know any better, and those people have problems. Serious problems. But enough about them. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Please spread the word on Google Plus and Facebook and Twitter. And if you have any other videos you want me to address, let me know. Thanks for spending a little bit of time with me. See you again soon.